I do hope you can hear me now. I think you can. Hello, hello. We are on the air once again. And I'm really sorry for those of you who did tune in earlier, unable to hear because the audio was a big problem. There was no audio. That's why you were not able to hear me. So for the next few minutes, very briefly here on YOU ORNS pre-match on YouTube, I'm going to talk about Watford versus Sunderland. And we're just, 20 minutes or so away from kickoff at the Vic. Watford return home after what was a really good second half against the champions of England, Manchester City, on Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup. Watford ultimately would lose the game against City, but they made it very interesting late in that second half. Tom Ince with a really sublime finish to put Watford back in the game after City had scored 2 in the first half. But really, for all their dominance in the game, did not really do the damage I think they probably should have and were expected to against the Watford side that were coming off a real humbling at Norwich City. And so Watford, of course, having an extra day's rest there, I think really benefited in some ways. City, of course, had played just 48 hours before, a very tough game against Arsenal where they lost their player, did City. They lost Rodri for the entire season with that ACL injury. And Rodri is such an influence for them. And not to say that he would have played against us on Tuesday, but that's a massive, massive loss from that point of view if you are a City fan. But Watford came in to that game on Tuesday, being outplayed in the first half. We knew that City were going to give us all the problems that they did with the possession and all the dominance. But I thought Watford began to gain a foothold in the second half. By the way, Watford should have had that goal allowed, I think, in the first half. Quadro Bar, who would have, I think, cut the arrears in half, or at least might have even equalized. But there was a mild foul. I really didn't see it. It was very incidental. And Quadro Bar was able to stick the ball in the back of the net. But it was ruled out because, of course, of the foul that the referee was adjudged that Bar had put on the City player. But the bottom line, fellow Watford supporters, is that we really acquitted ourselves well in the second half of the game, and I'm very, very pleased about that. It gives me a lot of confidence in this team, knowing that I think they can actually do the business today against Sunderland. I think that they're going to beat Sunderland. My prediction is a 2-1 victory for the home side, the Vic. We'll see that today. That's my prediction. Sunderland are going to be a tricky customer. We all know that. But I also believe that Watford will be up to it today. I think that they can take what they did in the second half of the game against City on Tuesday and bring that forward in this game at home in front of their fans against the Sunderland side that are going to be very tricky. Sunderland side that started very well this season. And of course, as you know, a Sunderland side that are doing well. I mean, they are sitting second in the table at the moment. West Bromwich Albion did drop a defeat today. They had first loss of the season for them. They fell to defeat. Finally, there's only one team now yet to have lost in the championship, and that's Blackburn Rovers. And Blackburn won today by the looks of things. So they're on 15 points in third place. But West Brom, top of the table on 16 points, lost their first game of this new campaign as they fell to defeat in the championship. Their first loss in the championship, losing 3-2 to Sheffield Wednesday today at Hillsborough. Sunderland then sit in second place on 15 points. Watford on 10 points in ninth now. They're fourth in ninth. So Watford now are ninth in the table. And they'll be looking to bounce back. They've not won in almost a month now, Watford. The last time Watford won a game was right near the end of August when they went into the break with a win. That was against Derby County, if memory serves me. Since then, they went to Sheffield United just before the break on September 1st with a defeat, losing 1-0 there, their first defeat of the campaign. Then they went home against Coventry, fell behind and got a draw there. I believe that was a 1-1 draw, if I'm not mistaken, against Coventry. And then the game last week, the early kickoff, where they went to Norwich and just were awful against Norwich City. And so we know what happened there. So Watford due for a win. I think this is a big game for Watford now. I really think Watford have got to get the job done here today. It's a home match, so you've got that advantage, even though it's a very difficult side. Home match. You're home now for the first time in a couple of weeks. You've got 3 games now in the space of a week. This is the first of those 3. And so Watford now are going to have to rise to the occasion today. Now, I think that Watford will actually get through the first 5 minutes of this game without conceding. Now, I hope they do. I believe they will. Watford in the last 5 games have not managed to get out of the first 5 minutes without conceding a goal. So this is going to be a test for them today, but I do think that they're going to rise to the occasion, and I do believe that they will get through the first 5 minutes of this contest without conceding. And I also think that Watford are going to end up winning the game 2-1. So that's my prediction, and I'll stick to that. Now, the lineup today I think is good. It's solid. I like the fact that Porteous is on the bench, and I like the fact that Ogbonna is starting his first championship game for Watford, his first Watford start in the championship. As you know, on Tuesday, he made his first start for Watford overall with his start in the Carabao Cup. And so at City, at the Etihad. So I thought that he was good. Ogbonna looked like a real good leader out there. As you know, he's a veteran footballer, great defender, central defender. Is a leader out there and has done some good things. So Ogbonna has done a good job, and long may he continue in that role. As long as Sierralta's out for, you're going to have to use Ogbonna in the middle of that park. He brings discipline, he brings energy, he brings know-how and wisdom and experience, which is the best teacher. And so Angelo Ogbonna is starting today in that back line. Pollock will be on the right side of him. On the left side, it will be Morris. Look, again, I'd like to see a bit more from him. I know he is, he's in a situation where he's not used to playing in that way, but I think that he can get the job done if he applies himself and stays positive to his task today. Now, the defending is obviously going to be key in this game, obviously. How Watford start the game is going to be key. The 3 keys for me: 1, get through the first 5 minutes without conceding. 2, stay switched on, obviously, at all times, especially from set pieces. Watford were one of the teams that give up the most goals off of set pieces last season. And 3, bring your game to Sunderland. Do not play reactive football. Play proactive football. Those are my 3 tips for this game. Start the game well in terms of going the first 5 minutes without conceding. Number 2, make sure that you're switched on at all times with set pieces and be careful with that. And number 3, also bring your game to Sunderland. Do not play reactive football, especially at home. I find that if you're playing reactive football at home, that can be a pressure point for you, because what you're doing is inviting trouble, and you get the crowd on your back. You get the players on the other side feeding off of that. You don't want to be reacting to the away side when you're at home. What you want to be doing is dictating things, even against difficult sides like Sunderland. You want to bring your game to Sunderland. Be proactive in your football today. So those are my keys. Again, my prediction is Watford 2, Sunderland 1. Sunderland are going to be a very tricky deal today, but I think Watford will be able to unlock this Sunderland side. I like the lineup, as I've said. Let me read the rest of it to you off my memory. Jonathan Bond is in goal. Of course, you've got the likes of Festi, Ebicelli in the lineup as well, starting. I think this might be his first start in the championship for us. Obviously, you've got the likes of TDB. He's back in the starting lineup. Georgie back in the starting lineup after the 5-year contract that he got, which I think is a really good one for Watford. I just hope he stays here for the 5 years. But, anything goes in football. You know how this is. It's a business. So that we know. Musa Sissoko in the middle of the park as well. We've got the likes of Ryan Andrews is injured, so he's out. But we do have Kayembe back in the lineup starting. I think he started against Norwich as well, if I'm not mistaken, last week. So Kayembe is in the starting lineup again. Bayo is in the starting lineup. I was really surprised by this one, because I thought that Bayo, after his poor showing on Tuesday, would probably not see the start today. I thought Daniel Jefferson would. But obviously, look, 2 things happened on Tuesday, and I am a big fan of Bayo, but I was not a fan of the near misses, which we've seen over and over. And I'm certainly not a fan of him walking off in a strop as he did on Tuesday night. I thought he was not good there at all. Bio did not do himself any favors, and we know he's leaving at the end of the season. He's now a lone player here with us. I just didn't like the fact that he walked off the pitch in such a strop. I understand sometimes people say, well, you want to see people be upset when they come off, but you don't want them to be upset to the point that they show up the manager. And I felt that Bio on Tuesday night showed up the manager, which you really must never do in these games. You know, he walked off. Clevs was trying to explain to him something or other, and he just walked right past Clevs. I don't think that's not a good look as far as I'm concerned. But the bottom line is Bio starts again. So I guess the fact that he didn't play the whole game, maybe that's why he started. I would have started Jefferson today and given Bio something to think about, and get him hungry, because he's not hungry right now, Bio. I mean, he does the hard work, but we still have the same situation with the failing to execute these goals that he's got to score. Now, Matt is calling in from YouTube. Thank you, Matt. Earlier today, I don't know why, we had some audio problems here, but I fixed those, and now we're back with this new edition of You ORNS pre-match, which I will bring to a close in a couple of minutes' time. But here is Matt's comment, and thank you, Matt, for making this comment. Hey, Omar, we need a strong start. None of this sloppy defending in the first half. Going to say Watford 2, Sunderland 1, as long as we don't panic at the back. Thank you very much, Matt. That's the same prediction I have as well. I mentioned it perhaps just before you made your comment. I mentioned this here on the You ORNS pre-match YouTube channel, pre-match show. I do think it's going to be that scoreline, Watford edging Sunderland by 2-1. Sunderland are going to be tricky and difficult. They're in second place in the table now. Watford in 9th place at start of play today. And so Watford get into the game here in just a few minutes' time. I think that's all the players. I think I read all the players out for the opening part of the season, for the opening today. Larouci in this game also starts. I'm sorry, I forgot him. Larouci starts. He's going to be on that left side. And again, as I said, Festi, Ebeselli will be in there as well. So I think I've named all the players today who will be starting. I mentioned Jonathan Bond. I mentioned Sissoko and company, Georgie, and all the rest. So it's going to be a tough game, but I think Watford will persevere and prevail. A 2-1 scoreline today. Watford, by the way, have not beaten Sunderland at the Vic for quite some time. I think last season at the Vic, I think they got a draw against Sunderland. Of course, we know they lost to Sunderland away from home in one of the worst games of the season they played last season. That was the infamous game where Val Ishmael, who was manager at the time, had put the boys in the dressing room and kept them there for more than an hour and a half after the end of the game, and told each and every one of them to stand up and tell the room why they failed in that game that they lost 2-0. I'll never forget that. And it did help Watford, because they went on this long run where they lost just, I think, 3 of their next 15 to 20 games. And so Watford against Sunderland at the Vic has been a game that curiously has been usually a draw. And for the last few times I can remember, except for one, I think a couple of seasons ago, Sunderland did beat us at the Vic. I think it was 3-2 or something like that. That happened 2 or 3 seasons ago. But aside from that, Watford and Sunderland have generally drawn at home in these games at the Vic. But I think that Watford are going to get the better of Sunderland today. And one of the reasons why I think that is because of what we're seeing with the I'm trying to get my finger on this. What we're seeing with the team, what we're seeing with the second half display at Man City on Tuesday, I thought that was a lot of confidence boosting for the side. Quadro Bar is on the bench. Don't forget him. He is a very good player. Of course, we've got Rocco Vata on the bench as well. Two players who are really lively for Watford. And so Ken Sema also on the bench. A lot of experience there from King Kenny. And so we'll see what happens. We are now 8 minutes away from this match, the kickoff at the Vic at the top of this hour. I want to say thank you, Matt, for your comments, and for those of you who have chimed in or who have popped in and popped out for this edition of the You ORNS pre-match for Watford versus Sunderland. Again, my apologies earlier on today for the audio issue, because again, I was doing this very same pre-match about maybe half an hour or 40 minutes ago, and nobody could hear me. No audio whatsoever coming from here. That episode's been deleted out. This one of course, will remain intact because there is audio, and I did fix the audio issues to do with the microphones and all the rest of it. But anyway, never mind that. You can hear me loud and clear, and I am thankful that you are able to hear me. Thank you very much indeed for joining. It's great to have you aboard. My name is Omar, and I will see you after this match is over, right after the final whistle here on You ORNS post-match on YouTube. Please spread the word about the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel by subscribing and, of course, telling all of your friends, Watford or otherwise. It is great to see you once again. We are now going to head, of course, to the Vic for Watford versus Sunderland at the top of the hour. And until the end of the game, it's Omar saying, come on, you ORNS. And by the way, one other comment Matt says, just before you go, about Sierralta, it says he's out until mid-October from Football Score Update. Thank you very much indeed for that, Matt. And that is quite a while indeed for Sierralta. We will see how everything else goes today. Come on, you ORNS. See you after the game right here on You ORNS post-match.